We continue from our first recap of the series with Superman saving Silas Stone from a fire in his apartment. When Superman leaves him out on the street to rescue another civilian, a woman approaches him from the dark alley behind him. She threatens Silas by bringing up his 9-year-old son, claiming that he could have been seriously hurt if he was home. Scared, Silas turns to the woman and deletes a file before promising not to tell anyone about it. A few days later, Amertech announced that they were building a new manufacturing plant in Metropolis. Dr. Johns Irons, the lead engineer at Amertech, assured the public that they should trust Amertech. Meanwhile, Jimmy, a videographer at the Daily Planet, receives a call from his young intern, Flip, who tells him that she plans on using a toy helicopter for surveillance, but Jimmy shuts her plans down. Just then, he notices Clark outside his window, trying to get his attention. Clark manages to ask Jimmy to get his clothes since Lois's father, Sam, is sitting in their living room. Once he sneaks in, Sam corners Clark and asks him where he has been the entire night. Before he can reply, he receives a call from Lois, asking him to meet. Clark uses this as an excuse to get away, but soon finds that Lois has been ordered by their boss, Perry White, to cover the Amertech conference. Amertech CEO, Weston, unveils a robot called Metallo that is stronger than Superman and has the firepower of a tank. As soon as he unveils the robot, it begins to malfunction. Seeing this, Weston tries to cover his tracks by ending the conference early. However, Lois asks Weston where John Irons is. Vicky Vale from the Gotham Gazette interrupts her and begins asking her questions. Despite this, Weston does not answer them and assures the public that John is busy working before disappearing inside. On the other hand, Jimmy goes up to Clark and confesses that Flip has disappeared since she received a tip about killer robots in the Metropolis. The two of them head to find Flip and reach John Irons' house. The Amertech engineer reveals that he had created Metallo for first responders since it could withstand fires and sub-zero temperatures. But when Weston pushed the production date, him and another engineer, Silas Stone, found that there was an error. The robots were merging their power and blowing up. Unintentionally, they had created a bomb, and when they asked Weston to halt operations, he did not agree. He claims that Silas had deleted his version of the video and that he might be targeted next. All of a sudden, Lois and Vicky, who had sneaked into the laboratory to find John's address, arrive at his house. They begin asking him questions, but before he can answer them, the same woman who had threatened Silas arrives at his house. Superman recognizes her as Livewire and tries to stop her from killing John. Although Superman is too strong for her to take down, she manages to destroy John's computers and the evidence he had saved along with it. She then reports back to Weston, refusing to help him any longer since Superman is now involved. As soon as he hears about it, Weston activates the Amer fusion tower. When Superman and John notice this, they quickly head for the lab and discover that Weston has activated the Metallo robots. John tells Superman that the only way to stop the robots from blowing up the city is to manually disable them. He quickly heads for his lab where he grabs his steel mech suit while Superman fights off the robots. Just as the reactor is about to blow up, John starts destroying the reactor's fuel towers. At the same time, Superman tries to hold off the ball of fire at the top of the tower. One by one, John destroys each of the towers, causing the reactor to shut down. With all of the robots neutralized, Weston is arrested, and John is hailed a hero of Metropolis. At the end of the episode, Lex Luthor and the General take over Weston's work, still intent on creating a robotic army. When Jimmy and Clark return home from yet another one of their missions, they are tackled by Sam Lane, who has been growing paranoid, thinking that the General knows his location, claiming that a suspicious-looking white van has been parked outside their apartment building. Just then, they hear someone knocking on the door. Sam tells them not to open the door, but Jimmy ignores his warnings and opens the door, only to find that he has received a package. He opens the package and finds an invite for a Star Labs symposium inside. The next morning, Clark tries to contact Lois to tell her about the beacon he had found that could help him communicate with his cousin. However, as usual, he reaches her voicemail. Meanwhile, Lois tries to build up the guts to meet her father, but when she enters the apartment, she finds that it is empty. She looks out the window and notices her father walking into an alley and decides to follow him. At the same time, Jimmy and Clark reach the Star Labs symposium and get busy exploring their innovative tech. Back in Metropolis, Lois sees her father walking into a secret room hidden inside the alley. She follows closely behind and finds herself inside a bunker filled with weapons. Seeing his angry daughter, Sam tries to explain that the general has discovered his location and he wanted to be as far away from Lois as possible to keep her out of harm's way. All of a sudden, one of the general's men breaks into the bunker and attacks the two of them. Sam manages to use a freeze gun to buy them enough time to escape, but they soon find themselves at a dead end. Lois assures her father that she has a plan, and the two of them slip underground through a manhole. As they are walking through the tunnels, Atomic Skull from Task Force X attacks them. Somehow, they manage to escape his attacks and make it out of the sewer tunnels. Sam then takes Lois into a pawn shop owned by his friend Winslow, who is a robotics expert. He reveals that Winslow has been warning him about the general. As part of their deal, Sam hands over a bag full of alien tech, something that the general had been after, in exchange for a passport and papers that would allow Sam to get away before he is caught. However, when Lois hears that her father is going to leave once again, she begs him to stay, insisting that him leaving hurts her more than him putting her in danger. Knowing that Lois might not forgive him if he leaves again, he chooses to stay with her. Meanwhile, at the symposium, Jimmy is called on the stage to deliver a speech, but when he gets to the stage, he is shocked to find that the topic is the Superman problem. Lex Luthor joins him up on the stage and claims that Superman is the reason why aliens have been attacking Earth in the first place. Slowly, he convinces people that Superman does not belong on Earth. At the same time, while Lois and Sam are still talking, Wilson from Task Force X attacks them. It turns out that Winslow was only trying to lure Sam out. Trying to escape the attacks, Lois and Sam soon find themselves at the Star Labs symposium, where Task Force X corners them. Before Task Force X can attack them, Superman comes to their rescue, and after an intense battle, manages to take them down. However, during his fight, he ended up destroying the tech that was on display. This gives Lex Luthor even more support, as he argues that they will not be able to make any progress as a society if all technology keeps getting destroyed. Instead of defending him, Jimmy runs away from the scene, making Clark feel all alone. To make matters worse, when he gets to Lois's apartment, he overhears Sam talking about how strange he acts, and Lois agrees with him. He does not stay long enough to hear her say that she loves him regardless of everything. Feeling alone, Clark finally decides to activate the beacon and contact his long-lost cousin, Kara. The next morning, Clark and Lois meet at the Daily Planet where they try to talk, but once again are interrupted by their boss. Perry tells them that he wants them to gather gossip on Superman, who is going to be attending the most eligible Bachelor event. Just then, another reporter from the Daily Planet, Kat, shows up. She begs Lois to take her along to the event so that she can get first-hand gossip about Superman. Knowing that she does not have much of a choice, Lois agrees. Meanwhile, Jimmy, who is on his way to work, tries to come up with an appropriate message for Clark to apologize for the symposium. However, he notices a truck that is about to hit a girl standing in the middle of the road. When the girl does not get away, Jimmy pushes her out of the way. When the confused girl asks him his name, he introduces himself as Jimmy, leader of the planet. As soon as the girl hears this, she claims that he can help her and reveals that her name is Kara. All of a sudden, Jimmy's phone starts going off as Clark tries to reach him. Since he does not want to face Clark yet, Jimmy drags Kara away and takes her for ice cream. When she claims that she has never had ice cream before, he brushes it off as strict parents who had a no-sugar policy. Once she is done eating, Kara reveals that she is looking for her cousin who she thinks might be the only person who understands her. At the event, Lois warns Clark to not make it obvious that he is dating anyone because it might reveal his identity. After promising to keep his identity hidden, Clark changes into his Superman outfit and joins the other contestants. During a question-answer segment, he claims that he is a normal person. However, when a Star Labs astronaut named Hank hears this, he argues that Superman is not one of them and has everyone else fooled. Once again, repeating that Earth is for Earthlings. He then leaves the stage, leaving everyone stunned. On the other hand, Kat tells Lois that she knows who Superman is dating, making her feel nervous since thinks that Clark's identity might be revealed. Once the two of them are alone, Kat claims that Superman is dating one of the contestants who had defended him. Hearing this, Lois begins to feel insecure and claims that she could be dating the superhero since she was the first person to interview him. However, Kat laughs it off, claiming that they are regular people who cannot become part of the story. Feeling worse by the minute, Lois goes to find Clark, only to see him talking to the contestant as she tries to flirt with him. Jealous, she leaves. Meanwhile, Jimmy shows Kara around the metropolis, unaware that she is Clark's cousin. He confesses that he has ruined things between him and Clark. He realizes that he needs to talk to Clark and takes Kara to the event. When Kara notices Clark, she recognizes him as her cousin and tries to talk to him. However, he is too busy trying to console Lois, who thinks that they don't belong together. While the two of them are talking, Kara interrupts them and claims that Clark has been a disappointment before activating her bracelet and turning into an alien called Primus. Clark refuses to fight with her, giving her the chance to beat him up. Just as Kara is about to shoot lasers at Clark, he uses his newfound power to counter the laser. When Primus notices this from another planet, he orders Kara to bring Clark to him. At the end of the episode, Lois and Jimmy watch as Kara defeats Clark and takes him away. When Clark wakes up a couple of hours later, he finds himself trapped inside an alien spaceship with Kara watching over him. He asks her where she had brought him, and she reveals that he is far away from Earth. Panicked, Clark breaks through the cryo chamber holding him and rushes out of the ship. To his surprise, he finds himself in the outer galaxy, surrounded by planets. As he tries to find Earth, Kara follows him on the spacecraft and tells him that he won't be able to find the planet without proper coordinates. She then tells him that they will return and take over Earth together. This does not sit well with Clark. He reminds her that he will never take over Earth because it is his home. Hearing him say this, Kara realizes that Earth has made Superman weak, claiming that her father had feared Clark would become attached to the planet. Surprised, Clark asks her if her father is alive, and Kara confesses that she has been working with her father to rebuild Krypton. She tells him that she has worked her entire life helping her father and is taking Clark to meet him. She offers to show him their vision using a thought projector that records and stores memories. As soon as she puts it on, a memory of the last few days of Krypton begins to play, and Kara introduces Clark to their planet. She shows him around, but Clark soon notices that she feels lonely. This time, he feels connected because Clark had spent most of his life feeling alone. He tells Kara that he knows what she feels like, but reminds her that all of the people she's been seeing are no longer alive. Although Kara feels angry, she agrees to see what his childhood was like. Clark puts on the thought projector and a memory from his childhood starts playing where his father is teaching him how to throw a ball without using all of his power. However, Kara sees this as his parents stifling his powers and insists that they never cared for him. Clark takes off the thought projector, ending the memory. He then goes to put the thought projector back, but discovers pictures of Kara with Jimmy and realizes that his cousin has a crush on him. He begins teasing Kara, who immediately snatches the pictures from him and claims that they are only memorabilia. This is when he notices other artifacts along with the pictures and asks Kara about them. She confesses that she brings souvenirs back from the planets that she visits. He asks her why she has kept them hidden, to which she answers that her father does not want her getting attached to useless items and losing focus. She reveals that they have been bringing planets to Krypton's light and wonders why he would not want the same thing for Earth. Even though he does not fully trust Kara yet, Clark decides to visit the planets she has been so excited about. Elsewhere, an alien watches Kara take the ship off course and prepares an alien squad to go after them. In the meantime, Kara and Clark come across an asteroid field where she tells him that they have to manually remove all of the rocks. As they go out into space, the two of them start playing around until Kara gets sucked into an asteroid. Clark's eyes immediately turn blue and he punches through the rock, saving his cousin. When Kara sees this, she asks Clark what happened to him, but he has no idea, claiming that he seems to get stronger whenever someone he loves is in danger. He had always thought that it was a Kryptonian thing, but Kara denies experiencing the same thing. Just then, a planet known as Thanagar appears in front of them. Excited, Kara and Clark land on the planet, only to find that it has been destroyed. Confused, Kara starts looking around, not being able to understand why a once thriving planet is now dead. She then starts getting flashbacks of a planet burning just as the alien squad lands. Clark is immediately on guard, but Kara assures him that they belong to her father and have been sent because they are late for Kandor. Sometime later, the two of them reach Kandor, where Clark is introduced to Primus Brainiac, an artificial intelligence that used to control all of the computers in the world. He claims that he is now the mind that controls the station, a station that is the last of Krypton. Brainiac tells Kara that although she went to Earth without him, he is willing to forgive her since she brought Clark to him. He then tells Clark that he used to work on Krypton's council with his parents. Hearing this, Clark agrees to see Brainiac's vision of the new Kryptonian Empire. However, as soon as he places his hand in Brainiac's robotic one, he finds himself facing 3 opponents. When he asks what is happening, he's told that they are going to measure his potential. Brainiac tells him that he's using a Kryptonian mind scan, consciousness preserved in a holographic form. He claims that these scans are all that's left of people who did not comply with the original Kryptonian Empire. Their anger and hatred are being used to train warriors. When Clark says that Brainiac is being too cruel, he only laughs at him and lets the aliens attack him. Clark manages to defeat 2 of them, but before he can take down the last one, Brainiac intervenes, and everything around them disappears. Clark tries to attack Brainiac, who begins laughing at him, claiming that it won't be easy to defeat him. He then activates the Red Sun, weakening Clark until he eventually loses consciousness. Not long after that, Kara enters the room, and is surprised to see her cousin on the ground. She tries to question Brainiac about it, but he hypnotizes her and tells her that they are working for a greater Kryptonian empire. However, despite being hypnotized, Kara has her doubts, and when she comes across the souvenirs she had brought from other planets, she begins to question her reality. Breaking out of her trance, Kara decides to visit the planets she had been to with Brainiac and is shocked to find that all of them have been destroyed. At this point, she gets a flashback of her destroying the planets. Not knowing what to do next, Kara finds herself floating in space alone. All of a sudden, a portal opens up in front of her and a ship comes through it. To her surprise, she finds that it is Jimmy and Lois. Back on Earth, General Waller announces that they are placing Metropolis under martial law, and that the Human Defense Force has been initiated to keep aliens out of Earth. On the other hand, Lois and Jimmy watch as the General promises to keep Superman out of Metropolis. Feeling guilty for breaking up with Clark right when he needed her most, Lois decides to come up with a plan. She tells Jimmy that they are going to steal a spacecraft from Star Labs and fly out into space to help their friend. When Jimmy asks her how she plans on stealing from a place that is known for its security, she reveals that she plans on asking Livewire for help. At first, Jimmy is against the plan, but when he notices how desperate she is feeling, he agrees to the plan. Sometime later, the two of them find themselves outside Livewire's apartment. As soon as Livewire sees them through the front camera, she refuses to open the door for them. But when Lois mentions stealing a spaceship, Livewire agrees to help. She tells them that Starlab is known for its strict security, and only those accompanied by a security guard are able to go through to the next floor. The only way they will be able to go through is with the help of a crew that knows how to handle similar situations. At that moment, Mala and Brain walk through the front door. They offer to help the two of them with their plan. Livewire then tells them that the guard at the back entrance goes to visit his mother every day, leaving the door unguarded for a few hours. Their plan will be set in motion as they sneak through the back door after stealing the guard's fingerprint from his coffee cup. Then they will reach the control center, where Brain will loop the security footage while Mala gets into the system and gets all of their data so that they can pinpoint the location of the spaceship. Livewire suggests that their plan B will require them to use weapons. However, Jimmy does not want to use force. Livewire leaves after reminding them that they no longer have Superman to save them. Jimmy goes up to Lois and tells her that they cannot use Livewire's plan, but Lois brings out a device with kryptonite, intending to use it to take down Kara. The two of them get into an argument because Jimmy does not want to use force, but they get interrupted by Livewire, who tells them that it is time to leave. Meanwhile, in Star Labs, General Waller visits Lex Luthor for a surprise inspection. She asks him to show her how Project M is coming along. While they are busy, Livewire and the rest of the gang sneak inside and even manage to get past the guard who is doing a double shift. Once they get to the control room, Brain tries to loop the security footage, but reports that Star Labs have increased their security protocols. After much struggle, he finally manages to loop the footage. On the other end, Lex Luthor takes Agent Wilson and General Waller to the main room, where he tells them that the tech he is working with requires more time. All of a sudden, General Waller notices something with the security footage and realizes that there has been a breach. At the same time, Mala realizes that he has found Europium, the last component that he needs to complete the portal machine. As he and Brain go their separate ways, Lois, Jimmy, and Livewire try to find the spacecraft. However, Wilson initiates lockdown, causing all of the exits to close automatically. Before the last gate can close, Livewire zooms past it, leaving Jimmy and Lane to fend for themselves. Alone, they hear Wilson approaching them and climb into the air vents to hide from him. They crawl through the shaft until they reach the spaceship, but as soon as they get there, they notice that the ship has been disabled. Crying, Lois begins to lose all hope of saving Clark, but Brain and Mala reach them just in time to tell them that they can fix the ship. In that moment, Lex Luthor activates Project M, which is still only at 10% capacity, and rows of robots begin shooting at them. Somehow, Brain manages to activate the spacecraft, but the robots jump on top of it, preventing it from leaving. All of a sudden, the robots are hit by lightning, causing them to fall off the ship. Livewire appears in front of the group and confesses that she wanted to use General Waller's distraction to steal weapons from her warehouse. But when she heard Lois crying, she felt bad and decided to return to help them. When the spaceship finally launches into space, Mala informs everyone that the portal machine is done. He activates it and a portal appears in front of them. The ship zooms through the portal but comes to an abrupt stop. When everyone looks up, they find Kara in front of them. In Condor, Brainiac puts a device on an unconscious Clark's head, causing his eyes to turn black. When he regains his consciousness, Clark finds himself in an unknown realm and asks Brainiac where they are. He reveals that they are in the Black Mercy, a Kryptonian device that traps the conscious mind inside of it, which will allow Brainiac to steal all of Clark's memories. Angry, Clark asks Brainiac if he wants to trap him, but he replies that his body is falling apart, and to build a new Kryptonian empire, he needs a new body. Not wanting to let this happen, Clark goes to attack Brainiac, but as soon as he gets close to him, he finds himself back in Metropolis with Livewire wreaking havoc. Instead of attacking her like Brainiac had predicted, Clark stops her without using any force. Disappointed, Brainiac shifts Clark to another memory where Dr. Ivo had attacked Earth. He tries to figure out what gave Clark his powers at the last moment that allowed him to defeat aliens stronger than him. This is when he notices Lois and Jimmy in the memory and realizes that everything Clark did was so that his loved ones could stay safe. Back on the spaceship, Kara tells the group that Clark is being kept in Condor. She reveals that her father uses a power core to cycle his artificial consciousness through. The power core goes under maintenance every day at a certain time, during which his army of drones is down. They come up with a plan to rescue Clark and soon reach Condor. There, Kara comes across drones that are down and realizes that maintenance has already begun. The team splits up while Brainiac pokes around in Clark's memories. He realizes that Clark fears that Jimmy and Lois might not love him as much as he loves them. Even claims that his weakness is what drives him because he wants to prove that he belongs on Earth. Clark refuses to believe what Brainiac is telling him, but when he is teleported to the Star Labs event where Jimmy refuses to defend him, he realizes that Brainiac might be right. Despite what he is seeing, Clark insists that he is loved. Suddenly, he is teleported to a rooftop where Lois tells him that he does not belong on Earth. In the present time, Lois and Jimmy arrive at the observation deck where they find that the arena has been destroyed, but Clark is missing. Before they can look around for him, the drones become active again and start chasing them. During this, Kara walks in on Brainiac, using the Black Mercy on Clark, and tries to reason with him. However, Brainiac tells her that he has spent his life trying to mold Kara into a true Kryptonian, but now she can no longer be a true warrior. Meanwhile, Clark struggles to make sense of his memories and realizes that Brainiac is messing with them. He uses his powers to shift his memories around and teleports the two of them to a memory where Lois is telling him that she loves him. Brainiac does not give up and continues to mess with Clark's memories, where he sees Lois repeatedly saying that he does not belong on Earth, even saying that it bothers her that he is not human. Confused, Clark insists that Brainiac is messing with his memories, which is why Brainiac shows him the memory where Lois is breaking up with him. Although the reminder of Lois breaking up with him gets him down, Clark still manages to attack Brainiac, while Kara does the same from the outside. She punches Brainiac, causing him to fall over with his body destroyed. Seeing him dead makes Kara upset, and she apologizes to him. At that moment, Brainiac, who has finally taken over Clark's body, transforms himself and attacks Kara. Lois and Jimmy are on their way to Clark when she falls in front of them. As Brainiac appears in front of them, he reveals that Clark is now dead. As he goes to attack Lois, Kara gets up and stops him from killing her. She then tries to land an attack on Brainiac, but he is much faster and stronger than her. Finally getting tired of them, Brainiac opens up a portal in his ship, causing Lois, Kara, and Jimmy to fly out into space. Using the last bits of her strength, Kara manages to take them to the ship, but Lois does not want to give up on Clark and puts on the Black Mercy device on her face, causing her eyes to turn black. At the end of the episode, Lois's consciousness is teleported elsewhere, while her body remains on the ship. Thank you for watching. What do you think of the series so far? And please check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.